It's time for another garden update, so let's get out there and see what's going on. In the greenstalk planter, we're going to start harvesting some of that lettuce. We've got May Queen up here and Marble of Four Seasons down here. It's a little crowded, so we'll thin that out and eat the thinnings. We've got quite a few tomatoes. That's a Siam there. This one is a Mohammed. It's just now starting to set fruit. The first one was Joe Callis, and it's already got a tomato that's starting to get ripe. And then the second one that started to set fruit was the Laura number 5. As you can see, it's got quite a few tomatoes on it. Everything else in the greenstalk planter is doing really well. The greens are doing well. We got spinach down on the bottom. We'll start harvesting some of that to go along with our lettuce and put some of that in some salads. And then we have quite a few other things going on in there too. Doing really well. Let's just go down this row of grow bags. Here's our Kennebec potatoes. Snap peas, the sugar hand snap peas are doing well. I'm going to have to re-sow some of those beets. They didn't come up well around the edges, so I'm going to have to replant some of those. This one blueberry bush is kind of struggling a little, but the other one's doing all right. Got some peppers over there. More peppers, more peppers. Got some russet potatoes here. Those 2 grow bags, and in that pot, starting to get a few peppers. This one is called Burgundy Bliss. Peppers are kind of a burgundy color, and the leaves are pretty dark. It looks kind of like the Midwest Midnight Eclipse 2.0, but it's a different cross. This one is the Midwest Midnight Orange variegated. It'll look a lot better once they get a little larger. Got quite a few different pepper projects over here. We've got the carrots over here. They were huge last year. I have a lot of thinning to do there, but I think I've got enough coming up there. It'll be enough to not have to plant again. Here's some of my tomato crosses. You're wondering about the yellow leaves. They're supposed to look like that. Some of the leaves are actually white because they're variegated. A couple of different peppers in this pot. Another one of my pepper crosses. Got lots of different, I said pepper cross, I meant tomato cross, sorry. Here's a bunch of micro tomatoes in this bag. Got quite a few tomatoes sitting on. That's a Joe Callis there. They remind me a lot of the orange hat as far as their growth habit. There's another Siam over here. It's got quite a few tomatoes on it, as you can see, and there's lots of blooms up the top, so it's going to have lots more. And I don't remember what this tomato is. I have to look at the tag. Vilma. It's got some tomatoes growing on it. And another one of my tomato cross. I have about 30 of those growing here and there. Most of them have some variegation, some don't. It's just an ornamental feature. I'm hoping for some great tasting tomatoes. While we're down here on the end, I'll just show you the sweet potatoes in the straw bale here. I use straw, and some people think I use hay, but it's straw. They're struggling just a little bit, but once those roots get established, they'll take off, and I'm going to try to train the vines to grow towards the shed and kind of fill that area back there instead of letting weeds grow there. Then we have the fennel there, and then I transplanted a fennel that was about the same size as that one on the left, and it's really struggling. But I think it's going to make it. It's just taking it a while for them roots to get going again. They have long tap roots, and they struggle a little bit when you try to transplant them. Here's our tomatoes. This row of tomatoes, these are all my tomato cross. Really looking forward to seeing how these do. They should all be a little bit different. Then what I'll do is choose maybe 2 or 3 that I like the best, the ones that taste the best, and then I'll try to stabilize those. It might take me a few years, God willing. Not sure how many years I have left, but I'm getting up there. Got some more variegated ones over here. Having trouble with my camera going the wrong way. But we've got lots of tomatoes, and it's going to be very interesting to see how all of those do. As I mentioned before, there's a amaranth that's coming up right there. I might transplant it somewhere if I can find a spot. One thing I forgot to mention while I'm down here, so I stuck one Armenian cucumber over there, and I'm going to fix a string trellis for it against the fence when I find time. Got a couple of more tomatoes over here that I stuck in the ground. And then this is where we have the pole beans. These are rattlesnake pole beans. There's a couple of bare spots, but I have some backups indoors. So I'm going to move out here and fill those in. And I need to thin out a few that are crowded. Came up kind of sparsely in spots. Then I have a row of bush beans here. Looks like I have some that are kind of late coming up there. They're coming up in spots kind of like the pole beans did. But these are tender green. Then we have another tomato. Then around the corner here on this trellis, I have some pole beans, and like the other pole beans, I got a lot of bare spots, but I got a real problem on this too with some cutworms. They've been cutting them down as soon as they come up, so I'm gonna have to figure out that. Then we got cucumbers over here on this trellis. That'll really fill in nicely once I get them. I got a bare spot there I need to put one in. I'll thin some of those out down there and move them down here and end up with about probably 4 to 6, something like that. I'll have to take a look at them. Now we're getting down into the peppers. Lots of different ones. This is a Jimmy Nardello. That's one of the best tasting sweet peppers. Now I've crossed that into a couple of different crosses to help the flavor of them. Then we've got some Swiss chard. I'll probably let that grow through the summer. We've got some Ragged Jack red kale, I think it's called. And we've got more peppers. There are a few peppers starting to get tiny peppers on them, but most of them are just getting blooms now. There's a basil there. I have more basil. I didn't mention it down on the other end of the garden with the tomatoes too. And speaking of basil, the garlic is starting to produce scapes, starting to form scapes rather. They're just coming out. And last year we used garlic scapes to make some garlic scape pesto that turned out really well, we thought. So we might do that again if we can find time to do it. This one that's a cross that I didn't do. That's one that Agus Bangkat, I think he's from Indonesia. He did that one. He's a really great pepper breeder. He's got some amazing work he's done. I want to be like him when I grow up, I think. Then we have the 2 rows of garlic. I'll be harvesting that next month sometime. It's a little dry. We've had a hot week this week. We got up into the 90s one day. There's more peppers in between the garlic. You can see that one's got a few little peppers on it. Oops, I'm stepping on the garlic. There's another one. This one is a cross between Courbaki and Jimmy Nardello. And the last generation that I saved seeds from for this one tasted really good and had some really long peppers on it. So I hope it's going to stay close to that. Then we have another basil plant there, some more peppers down here. Then the corn, I've got 2 rows that I've thinned out, and these 2 rows supposed to have some variegation in them. My variegated corn that I used to pollinate with was about 2 weeks earlier. I'm wondering if maybe these didn't get crossed somehow with the field corn that's 150 or 200 yards down the road. But we'll see when it gets a little bit bigger. But you can see the variegation on this row of corn. This is the one that I'll allow to pollinate the rest. You can see it better on that one, I think. It's even got a little pink in the leaves. That's kind of cool looking, just ornamental. I'm trying to produce an ornamental popcorn that actually pops really well and tastes great. Our common milkweed almost always get aphids on them, and I've made a video about how to get rid of aphids on your milkweed, but I usually just don't do anything, and I'll show you why. They attract aphids, but they also attract the beneficial insects that kill aphids. If you see all the aphids down there in those beige colored dots, those are actually called aphid mummies. There's a parasitic wasp that will lay an egg on an individual aphid, and it will kill that aphid, and the larva of the wasp will grow inside of it. As well as the aphid mummies, the parasitic wasps, this plant will also attract ladybugs to lay eggs, and sometimes you'll see the ladybug larva working on the aphids. And there are also, like hoverflies, their larvae will eat aphids, and just several different insects, beneficial insects, will be attracted to the aphids on this plant. The plants in the raised bed are just now starting to grow a little bit. We're even getting some peppers on the pepper plants. That one's got a couple, and this one over here, this is called a candy sticks. It's got some peppers growing. And then we've got one more over here with peppers. This is called a Midwest Kansas Chaos. It's got some neat little peppers on it. But some of this stuff is just now starting to get the roots to spread out a little bit and get going. In another month and a half, it'll look a whole lot better. Don't forget to let us know how your garden's doing. And if you're just now finding this channel, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.